Thanks everybody for joining. This is Lynn Tramonte with the Ohio Immigrant Alliance, and just really excited to be able to share this book with you that Demba has been working on for a few months now. Demba, would you like to welcome everybody?
Hey everyone, I'm Demba. I'm serving as the advocacy director with the Ohio Immigrant Alliance. Thank you for being part of this discussion and just going over the book that we've been working on. Thank you.
Great. So we just have a little bit of context for you that we'll run through quickly. Demba's book is not the first book we've published, and it's not the first study about Black immigrants that we've done at the Ohio Immigrant Alliance. We started out by publishing the anthology, Ohio Migration Anthology. So we have volume one and two of that. We also published a book called Broken Hope, Deportation and the Road Home, which was based on original research conducted by Miriam C. in native languages with 255 people who were deported. We wrote that book with Suma Sethi of the Center for Law and Social Policy, and it's about the real impacts of deportation and what happens the sixth, seventh, eighth, 12th month after a deportation to families and to communities, because those stories are not often told. And it argues for policy change so that people who were deported can come back. We don't think deportation, a permanent banishment from your life, is appropriate for an immigration violation. We also did the Behind Closed Doors research series with Dr. Nana Brantuo, 6 different studies about Black immigrants and their roles in the immigration courts, and how the system is actually not designed to protect them or to protect anybody seeking refuge. It's actually more of a gauntlet to see who might be lucky enough to survive and actually win their case. And we've got Brian Hoffman here, who's run through that gauntlet with many people who should have won their cases who didn't, and then the lucky few that Brian was able to help win their cases, thankfully. This year, we published a report about the hotline. Those are the calls that we're receiving on the Ohio Immigration Hotline, and the types of stories we're hearing, and just to bring transparency to the hotline, because it's something that people have been using but didn't get a lot of information back out about. And then we just published a report about organizing to end immigration jail in Ohio. It's partly about a campaign that was started by Black Mauritanians during the first Trump administration in the Morrow County Jail, but really quickly expanded to include immigrants of all nationalities, races, and religions who knew they were being mistreated in jail and ended up closing 2 ICE contracts during the Trump administration. The publication also talks about what's happening now. The grassroots advocacy to end these contracts is actually bigger earlier in Ohio now. So that's really exciting. So the context that we're publishing Demba's book in is it's a continuation of what as well of some work we did at the Columbus Arts Festival. We had a performance called Palagam, which was a celebration of Fulani heritage and culture. When you get a chance, I'll share this link around, but you have to watch Sule Ball perform his poem, Dark Journey. We also published an annotated version of that so that people who aren't as familiar with some of the things he was talking about can get, sort of like Cliff's notes about that. So this is all up on our website, but his delivery in Fulani is just absolutely breathtaking, and it's worth a watch. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I always do that. I accidentally clicked on the link, trying to advance the slide. Uh, okay. Then this year at the Columbus Arts Festival, we're presenting Ohio as My Second Country. And that is a coloring book that Shema Asifiwe drew for us after interviewing immigrants from around Ohio about some scenes from their native countries they would like to show the world. A lot of countries in Africa and Asia and other places are stereotyped as being war-torn and depressing and difficult. And, there's 2 sides to every story, and there's a lot of vibrancy and beauty, even in places that are experiencing conflict. His friends were really eager to participate in this, and Shema, is in 10th grade, and he's just absolutely so excited to share it with everybody. It should be out soon. Just I didn't need to do that. And we're going to be presenting it at the Arts Festival. Here are 2 drawings that Shema did about the bottom route, the route that people from Africa, especially West Africa, are taking either to Central America or South America, and then all the way to the US-Mexico border. So it's really cool that Shama was able to make these drawings. Then it's a real good tie-in to Demba's book, which is all about why are people making these decisions to take the bottom route, and what does that mean for them and their families, and what is the U.S. reception, the U.S. government structure and policy that was set up to receive them. We will also be launching this coloring book at the Arts Festival on June 13th with a concert with Salif Sar. And we did a whole preview with him last Friday. If you haven't seen it, let me know and I'll get you the link. But let's get right to Demba. Demba, thanks for being here. I'm going to ask you a few questions. And I think maybe first we'll just skip right ahead to the cover of your book. So question for you, Demba, is just basically, why did you write this book?
Yeah, thank you so much, Lynn, for organizing this. So this book for me, it's deeply personal, as you some know a little bit of my history. I'm originally from Senegal, West Africa. My father came to this country in 1997 from Mauritania. He was half Mauritanian, half Senegalese. My mom is from Congo. She fled the war from Congo in 1997 and went to Senegal and then joined my father here. So I remember even as a child seeing my father go into police station, helping immigrant get released in Congo when we were in Congo. So he was always involved in the community, helping his peers. And then I'm explaining in the book as someone who, went to school, knew how to, read and write in French and English. So you basically become the go-to person when people in my community have letters to read, immigration notices, any sort of paperwork, they will bring it to you, and then you just automatically develop this sense of, being the helper in the community and the helper in your environment. And so that's something that's really naturally built in me. And then, I also, realized that when people came recently, a lot of them didn't know nothing about the system. There was really a gap between the perception and the reality. Like many immigrants that came, especially from Mauritania or West Africa, they only knew the United States through Hollywood, through movies. So they really thought like if after all they've been through, if they cross the border and get into this country, it's just going to be the beginning of the American dream. Hence, they find a very complex legal system, and they face language barriers, cultural challenges, and sometimes misinformation and lack of guidance. So I also wanted to write this book to recognize the great work that we are doing at Ohio Immigrant Alliance, to kind of, put the light on what we do and the importance of what we do, while the big picture, the system, the whole system is designed to really like make make the life difficult for immigrants to get a legal status in this country. The other part of the what else? The other thing that was important for me is to kind of just give some basic explanation of the system and just make a little bit of analysis, and we can go deeper into that. So I'm really open to having this interactive conversation, and just learn from you guys, learn from the audience, and just and just grow and grow through this conversation about this topic that I really find it, like I said, personal and at the same time very important and critical in this time. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're showing you the table of contents. And my question for you, Demba, is what is this book? Is it a policy book? Is it a storytelling book? Is it a memoir? How would you describe this book?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I really have like a little bit of professional information because I my first master's was in public law. So I wrote two memoirs. And so I just have this, method of writing stuff and just going deep into stuff, like trying to understand what is behind this, why the system allowed these people to come in here. But at the same time, I'm not a legal expert in the United States. That's why it was important for me to interview, people who are expert, like Suma, like Mr. Olawale, Mr. Hoffman, the Judge Smith. You just have those subject matter legal experts to help me understand why the system is designed like this. So it's I can say it's a combination of um, you know a book that analyzed the system, but in a bigger picture, and at the same time talks about personal stories. But it just doesn't do one thing. It just doesn't relate personal stories like other books that we usually see that talks about immigration. It kind of combines both. It talks about policy. It explains the meaning of certain words like illegal, why we call people illegal while they were able to secure some type of paperwork. And at the same time, personal stories are also a big part of it because these are people that I met, these are people I work with, these are people I sought with, and also there's are things that we also did together as Ohio Immigrant Alliance to like the hotline with ABBA. I talk about the hotline and the nest and all the programs that we are running with the Ohio Immigrant Alliance that are for me like, really important and really helpful in this time.
Thank you. So the next slide that I pulled up a few different quotes that I think are really important to highlight. And I was wondering, Demba, if you could read them and explain like where this comes from or what this means.
Yeah, so I want to make a precision. All the names that are here are not the real name of the people that I spoke with, but these are people that are really close to me. Like I can even say like these are family members and then other immigrants that I personally work with, spend a lot of time with. And so for Modu, he said he's a Mauritanian migrant, and he remember his release vividly. After detention, his uncle sent him a plane ticket confirmation via WhatsApp. I bought the ticket actually myself, and I sent it to his uncle. His uncle sent it to him. He he was sorry. So yeah, he was bused to the airport by a nonprofit, the Red Cross, and it didn't feel like hiding. He said it felt like organized, like they expected me to be here. I even spoke to the Red Cross person who gave me the airport name, all the details, how long it's going to take him to be to the airport. It was really organized. The other court said, immigration attorney Emmanuel Olawale describes the dynamic bluntly. People don't lose because they weren't persecuted. They, they lose because they didn't have a lawyer to translate their life into legal language. This is a really strong statement from Mr. Olawale because, you know, it, the story is your life, and how can you just shrink your life into 2 or 3 pages? In addition to that, it has to match the legal framework that is designed that you have no knowledge of. So you need a lawyer. And I really felt like it was really an important statement. Asylum law, in theory, is neutral. In practice, it is applicable. Its application reflects enforcement priorities that change based on who occupies the White House. Immigration legal cases can take years to resolve and span various presidential administration, subjecting migrants to different policy within the lifetime of one individual case. And this is exactly what the actually what you can feel in this book is this misunderstanding is why one administration is letting me in and another administration is kicking me out. Is it not the same America? Is it not the same law? Why these laws change so drastically from one administration to another administration? When I entered the country, I was welcomed. I felt legal. And all of a sudden, I'm illegal and I didn't do anything illegal. And that's really what strikes me as a contradiction in the way that the country, the United States, is handling this immigration situation. And I felt like, the Judge Smith, he says more about it in the book, the way the system is designed for people to fail their asylum cases. And I really felt like this quote reflects the entirety of the book, actually.
It
Thank you.
does. And yeah, I think, God, I mean, I think you really crystallize it in a way that I haven't seen people do before in your book. This concept of self-identity and okay, I've got like when people get their work permits now, right? I mean, they're celebrating like they got their green card or their citizenship or something, right?
Yes.
It's like a party, right? I think you told me there was a party
Yeah.
back in the village because
Oh, yeah.
somebody got their work permit.
Yeah. I
So that, yeah, that contradiction of like, and then the law, then you get arrested by ICE, but you have this
Yes.
work permit.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. You remind me of that story. So I was helping these people from the same village. It's actually there are probably more than 40 people, and all of them were getting successively their work permit approved. It was the time where the process was fast. And when someone would not get his work permit, their mom would call me. It's like, oh, my son, I pray for you, but my son didn't get his paper yet. So they'll call it paper. Um, can you help us? We are going to pray for you. They just have all sort of praise. I was like, wow. And when they get their work permit, one of the lady called me and say, today we're celebrating Mamadou has his papers. It's like, what? I say, yeah. I say, that's what we do. And if one family celebrate, the other family is sad. If their
Oh,
child don't have papers, they're sad. They're waiting like, oh, is that a disgrace? Why our son is not? So it ended up all the families celebrated in the village, thinking they secured papers, to stay legally in the country. While they didn't realize it's more complex than that. Maybe in 3 or 4 years, it's going to be another story.
oh wow. That's just incredible. Thank you. Let's see what
Welcome.
we've got next. We've got some pictures from some of the work that you've done. Do you want to talk about these?
Yeah, exactly. So these are the work that I'm saying we are all doing at the Ohio Immigrant Alliance. I'm inspired by you, Lynn, every day. Inspired by Abba, Mariam C, everybody that's in the Ohio Immigrant Alliance to do more and to go more in the community, and just help. And so in February, beginning of February, when they started arresting people almost everywhere, people got scared. It was even a issue for us to organize this at the mosque because we're like, if we gather at the mosque, are they going to come there? But I was like, you know what? We need to do this Know Your Right session so at least they know. And we had this red card that Lynn, you shared the link with me to our website, Ohio is Home, and then I ordered 500 of them. So it was really important for me to hand those cards to them. And I contacted the attorney, Emmanuel Olawale. He was really nice and willing to come and then just hold a Know Your Right session like we did in the beginning when they first came. We did some Know Your Right. This one was one of the last one we did at the time where everybody was scared. The mosque was empty, but that day people came, and Hule Cham also was there, and the attorney answered their question. It was really interactive. They asked all sort of questions. What if we get arrested by ICE? How should we react? And we gave them those red cards. On the left side, this is the Mauritanian Network Day. They have this day on a yearly basis where they talk about their work, their achievement, but also how the Mauritanian community is doing in Ohio, and and the needs to stand and denounce the persecution back home in Mauritania, because we know there's a segregationist regime there, a racist regime, and Sister Hule Cham is one of the leaders of that community, and I was really proud to stand by her side and take this picture.
Yes, future president of Mauritania, if we have any influence over there, which we know we don't, but Boulay is amazing. I think another thing that your book is bringing out to me, and it's reinforcing based on all these experiences with these know your rights trainings, is how much people they want to know what the law is so that they can follow it. I
Yes.
know our board member, Abdul and Bo, and you too. I mean, you guys have held classes with people to teach them, like, here's how you act in public, right? Here's how you talk to women in public. Like, here's how you walk down the street. Here's what you can and can't do. And when we ever we have anything like that, people show up at like hundreds because they just want to follow the law and be able to stay here, work, make money, and take care of themselves. And I remember when Baram Beg came to Columbus and he had a whole crowd of people in front of him. And I was like saying to them, I was like, you shouldn't have to risk your life to take care of yourselves and your family and make them proud. So I thought maybe you could say a little bit more about that, Demba, because you were also the one who told me about the shame of being deported and how what that means for people who are sent back.
Yeah, just like you said, many of them are doing their best to abide by the law. Like just a little example of that is they have changed the rules to get a driver license now. It used to be free all across the board. All you have to pay is, I think it's $40 or $25 to get your ID. But now there's a crazy fee of I think it's $100 and some plus a $500 to enroll into a driving class. They're calling me every day to make sure they comply by the law and they get their learning and driver license and pay the fee even though if it's expensive. So there's this, you know, they will always come if you organize a know your rights station because they want to know what to avoid. They don't want to be detained because a lot of the time one person who comes in this country is almost 10 people or a whole family who put the money together to send you to come and and everybody's watching you. The whole family is counting on you to get them not only out of poverty but to put them in a safe situation because we all know a better life, a better situation, a better financial situation can help people get more protection. There's people that getting their land is getting snatched in villages in Mauritania. So with the son or a brother that can afford to help you get all the document you need for your land to be secured, it's important. And so being deported is very shameful. I'm going to Senegal. I'm going to try to go to Mauritania because um, I have this discussion with Ali Diallo, who actually is a personal representation of this book. He went through all the process and he got just really deported. And and I talked to him about the book. I said, I want to have your testimony. At first, he was really motivated, but later he lost his mom. And what happened is he didn't want to do the interview with me anymore. So in the beginning, I thought it's because he lost his mom. And later, when I dig deeper and I talked to him, he expressed to me the fact that people were saying that his mom died because of him, that she couldn't bear the shame of having his son deported. All the other kids are in the US from the same village, and he's the one deported. He's like a black cat. So his mom was not sick or anything. She just couldn't bear the shame. And so he feel really responsible. Like he tells me, I wake up in the morning, I go to the farm, I stay there all day. I don't want to even see anybody in the village. I'm like, really? I'm like, wow. It's so like I don't know. I don't even have the word to express how I was devastated by, the thought of having, to bear that responsibility while you didn't do anything wrong. Ali just went to eyes checking and he got arrested. He never had a work permit. Like as soon, no, he got a work permit. He didn't get a chance to get a job. In less than a month that he had a work permit, he was arrested and went to all the phases of detention. He was detained at Butler County, later different detention facility. He was brought back to Butler County. And we did an appeal. We raised money for his case to be appealed, but appeal was denied, canceled actually, and he was deported. And then he has to now face that after he was resilient in detention for more than 6 months. So yeah, just to to kind of bring it short, deportation is a disaster for many people.
Thank you. I have two more questions. One is about, okay, what do we do instead? Right? So we're saying that we don't want people to be forced to make this dangerous journey. It is legal to seek asylum at the border, but people shouldn't have to endanger themselves to do that. Does your book get into any solutions, and ways that things could be done differently?
Yeah, so actually, I focused more on explaining how the system is designed and what is behind the system because it was too good to be true to just have the borders open, just out of the blue, and then hundreds of people getting. I just wanted people to understand, especially those who are here, to understand what they are into, and those who are thinking about, because there are people waiting for the next wave, and also, and then people who are in this country, American people who want to help immigrant, but they don't know the specificity of West African immigrant. This can help them understand. But I've also, at the end of the book, talked about some solutions, especially from the discussion that I had with the judge, who explained to me that the way the courts are designed, they are designed as a body of the executive branch. Is just an administrative court, so they just do as the one in power wish. They don't, you don't want to be kicked out of your job. You if you have a lot of approval rate, it may means that you're going to be in trouble. So the reforms are enormous. There's a lot of things to do, but one of the most important one are people needs to get legal representation, while facing immigration court. The second thing, immigration law should not be treated as criminal law. They didn't kill anybody. It should be handled as a civil matter. And then people detention should not be the automatic ultimate recourse. People, you know, and be with their family because the consequences are huge. And Miss Summers talks about the impact on kids, on children, the trauma. So people can be allowed to respond to their court hearing while working and making their cases, building their cases. Because how can you be detained and provide evidence for your detention while you're detained and provide evidence for your asylum? It's really hard, especially if you want to get in touch with people from your country of origin, a country that does you don't want to go back to. So the system needs to mirror the American values of how this country was built in the first place. It was built by people who came from all across the world. And immigration didn't mean a sin. It was just a natural, need. Now people move from for any reason, so the system needs to mirror that. It needs to match the value that we are claiming every day in this country. It needs to allow people to have legal representation. We should not recourse to detention automatically. The judges should not be appointed administratively. They need to be independent. And there's few examples of different countries where it's better. New Zealand, maybe Canada. People get English classes, English courses, so they know what they're talking about. And then I think this country can do it because the immigrant population is a force to this country. I'm talking about it, how they contribute to the economy of the country in places like Ohio and Columbus, like where I live. I can see on a daily basis how the impacts of immigrants into the labor in the workforce. I'm talking about how they feed America and how they build homes in America while they can't even secure their own, um, you know, stay in this country. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, I want to see if I could summarize what you said about solutions. You said people should have lawyers in
Yes.
immigration court. Um, the judges should be an independent, we need an immigration court, not one controlled by Justice Department. Um, no detention because immigration detention makes it harder for people to fight their cases or win their cases. And we've heard this a lot when we interviewed people for behind closed doors. They want a simpler system. They found the asylum laws to be extremely complex and confusing. Things like the 1 year deadline that you have to apply for asylum. It's not something everybody knows about.
Hmm.
Things like there's this material support bar, which says it's so broad that anybody who has like innocently, tried to survive in a country where there is sectarian violence can be accused of giving material support to terrorism and be barred from asylum. And so over and over again, we heard and behind closed doors that they just want a simple system where they can explain what happened to them and the
Hmm.
judge can decide if they qualify for asylum or not. So I think I'll stop with my questions and see if anybody else has questions for Demba. You can either speak or put them in the chat.
Yeah, so I'm open to questions. Feel free to ask questions. I also want to know, what part of the books that, you know, really were important to you. How can we use this book in our advocacy work? Which target
Yeah,
audience, any opportunity for a partnership or event or campaign. Um, you know, I'm open. Thank you.
thank you. Oh, and did we tell everybody it'll be in French too? I don't remember if we did or we didn't.
Yeah, it will be in French too. It will be
Yeah.
in French too. So I travel a lot. I expect to hand it to because people in Senegal ask me a lot about the system here. They didn't understand why people were let in and why people are now being sent to all across the world, third party countries, why there's this systemic recourse to violence when it comes to immigrants, where people are terrorized. Like ICE is acting as, I'm sorry to say, that as a militia. I didn't put that in the book, but when you see ICE in at the highest peak of their enforcement, you would think that there's something wrong with this country. There's something going on. What is it? Is that war? Because we're in peace. It should not be like that. People, just to answer to why you came into this country, prove that your case is good. It should not amount to this violence and the loss of lives, of innocent life. Especially, every life is important, but especially lives of, law abiding working Americans. It's just insane that
Yeah.
we have to get to that level of, and we were talking about violence after what happened yesterday. The violence starts there. You know, it starts from what you see on TV every day, from what you hear, from what you see around you. You should not instigate violence if you don't want violence.
That's right. All right. Well, does anybody have any questions or comments? There's a couple people on here who participated in interviews for Demba's books, and we're so grateful to you for your lending your expertise to the book. I hope that you see that we did a faithful job in putting your words in the book. Questions or collaboration ideas, if you've got an upcoming conference, if you host a book group, or if you know of an independent bookstore that should carry Demba's book. Yeah, it should be out in the next, I would say, hopefully next 6 weeks, at least the English version, if not the French version too. And we'll make sure to let everybody know when it's out. All right, Demba, any closing remarks before we head out?
Um, so no question? Okay. Yeah. So,
Oh,
yeah. Thank you.
wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Uh, Okay, awesome. Well, first of all, congratulations, Demba. I think it's awesome that you're bringing light to an issue that I would say a lot of us probably weren't as aware of before. And I see a lot of like parallels with also uh, like I think one thing that stood out to me was like the like access to like I think you said or someone said like actually understanding what like you're going through but also making it very simplistic. I think you were talking about, or the person was talking about like legal terms but also really actually understanding that, and I see the parallels between that and also like I think a lot of times when we think of Latin America, we also think of like everyone speaks Spanish, but I think many of us know that's not the case, and that a lot of people also are indigenous to the land and also speak their own native language. And so that's what stood out to me. It's like, yeah, like seeing it from a very different perspective of like, it's not just an issue that affects people who are from Latin America who aren't Spanish speakers, but also seeing it from the other angle of like it also affects Black immigrants from African countries who, again, this issue is like I guess I don't think about often as much as I should. So I just wanted to thank you for uplifting that because I think it's like a very needed, very important perspective. So thank you for writing this.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities, even though it's I talked about people from West Africa, but the system is the same system for everyone, and the flaws of the system are the same for everyone. And the language issue is very important. It's a big issue, especially for like I think it's even worse with African countries because you would see a country like Mauritania, you would have different variation in just one language. Like you have different type of Fulani, and we've experienced cases where the interpreters will speak a different variation, a different type of variation of the language, and the words would not mean the same. I witnessed a case where I helped a lady from Mauritania. I'm talking about her in the book because I actually follow all her case, and then that's a good story because it ended up well. She was almost deported, almost deported. Aminata, she is the one who told me when I came to the border, the door will open. Um, and they just let me in. They said, "Okay, you here? You want to enter?" She said yes. They said, "Okay, wait." She waited. They said, "Okay, come in." They opened the door. She entered. So she didn't break any doors. I was like, "Wow, are you serious?" She said, "Yes." So when she went to court with her lawyer was a Spanish-speaking lawyer. It was in a detention center in California, near the border. So she said she was a machudo. Machudo means slave, but at the same time, it's the name given to a ethnic group within the Fulani people. They are like considered inferior people, but it doesn't mean they're slave. So it's a nuance. Like this, machudo means two things. It means a slave, but it means also a caste group. And then the judge asked her in court. So you said because when they translated in English, it says slave. She said, "You say you were a slave?" She said, "No, I never said I was a slave." Okay, so you just say, "Okay, you know what? I'm going to give you a chance to go back to your country, and maybe you can try your luck legally to come back." And and the lawyer was scared. It was like, "Okay, just take that." And she took like I think it's called a voluntary removal or whatever. And when she called me and we talked about it, she said, the lawyer said, the judge said, I said I was a slave. I said, really? And when I looked at the story, they translated Machido as slave. I was like, no, it should not be the case. You meant you were from a caste, a group that is considered inferior, but you didn't mean you were a slave. So you lawyer, even the lawyer didn't understand that nuance. So the language thing, like I said, is a very important issue. And there's not enough translator in immigration court. There's not enough training to understand, you know, uh, the concepts from each culture. So that's why an asylum case should not be a speed in the speed process. It should not be expedited. So when I hear expedited removal, And you can see it in the book. The concern is more repression than the application of the law, because it takes time. Thank you.
Thank you, Demba. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Emilio, too, for drawing those connections. It's so important and it's so true. I think with that, we'll end. And yeah, just thanks everybody for making time on your Monday afternoon. I really can't wait until the book is out. Demba, we need to send you on like a book tour and get you, in front of every media outlet. It's a really important book, and I don't think anything has ever been written like it. So thank you for writing it.
Thank you.
And I don't
Thank
know
you
how
for coming.
Demba did it in the middle of all of the other work that he's got going on. So yeah, you're incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.